Hello traders, welcome to a new video on a very simple but very helpful tool, inflow and outflow completely free. Let's dive into it. Again, if you haven't checked it out yet, check the link in the description below for the link to my Discord. If you want to see what the Discord is like, go to the YouTube Shorts section of my channel and you can go see some clips from the Discord. They're kind of fun and insightful. Okay, let's dive in. This is CoinGlass's, I think it's new. It's the on-chain alerts that they have. The way you get here, I'm going to just link this in the description so you don't have to worry about it. But this has actually been, without an exaggeration, this is probably the simplest but most effective on-chain alert I've ever seen. Seriously. The UI is great. Everything's great. CoinGlass is not paying me to say that, but I think that this is just very good data. Also very quick, very easy, and completely free. Let's dive in. Okay, first thing you got to know. Typically, inflow is seen as a very bearish activity. Typically, outflow is seen as a very bullish activity. So if we see a bunch of inflow, like we're going to talk about with DYDX, look how much inflow it had. Millions upon millions of dollars, a lot. And I'm going to go show you guys exactly what happened there. And you can see right here that there is just a lot of money that flew into Binance from DYDX. What does that mean? Well, here's where it gets pretty interesting. What happened was a bunch of the deposits for DYDX actually happened at 22 o'clock right here. And then over time, if we look at the inflow-outflow history, you can kind of see all of the separate transactions right here, or I could do it like that, just to make it a lot simpler. We had a fair amount of inflow that ended at about 1 in the morning, December 8th. So a bunch of inflow until then. So that was basically the distribution stage, where a bunch of the DYDX token was being deposited into Binance. Then guess what happened? After all those deposits, price falls 8.6%. Okay? And fell to the bottom at 327. Now, just to compare it, you can see here that that is not reflected on Bitcoin. So Bitcoin did not fall like that. So this behavior wasn't just some correlation to Bitcoin. It was likely that this was an actual whale selling. More evidence that I have to that is this. This is DYDX on Binance, right? Let's go look at the volume of this sell-off. So right here, the volume is 522,000 tokens. What was one of the inflows of tokens? Right here, 516,000. So there were 516,000 DYDX tokens inflowed right there at 22 o'clock. Kind of funny that 522,000 were sold right there. So this is such a good way to trade in the short term, I believe. When you see a bunch of inflow, it can sometimes be as simple as just shorting. And then if you see a bunch of outflow, meaning the coins are being transferred else, close the short. Obviously not financial advice, but that's what you can do. Or if you open a short and then see a bunch of volume spiking, that could be a sign that the whale just sold. And you should probably take profit on your short. All right, let's go over some others too. So you can see that these are alerts for a bunch of different coins. The most recent has been LDO, but let me refresh the page and see if we get any more. It'll probably just be LDO. Yeah, so LDO has had a fair amount. Let's go click on it. And if you click on it, you can get a chart of really the inflow and outflow over time. I want to look at RNDR, which is pretty balanced, to be honest. Balance doesn't mean much. You want to see something where there's a bunch of one-way either outflow to private wallets or a bunch of inflow into liquid exchanges like Binance, Coinbase, Uobi, OKX, Bybit, and BitGet. So looking here, let's see Matic. And I think this is a very good way to be kind of like a blockchain detective, but a blockchain detective who actually makes money on what he does. So we can see here 7 in the morning on Link. So if I go right there, 7 in the morning, actually 7 in the morning, what was it, like 7 in the morning today? What was that? Was that a big outflow or big inflow? That was big inflow, yeah. So this is kind of balanced, but there was a fair amount of inflow, and price didn't really do too much here. I mean, it went up a little bit, then it went back down. So I don't really call that too good. One thing I will say about this kind of system, do know that this is a lot better for altcoins I've found, rather than major caps. Just from what I've seen in the market, I've seen that smaller cap coins have a very strong effect, but something like Link or Bitcoin, there might be some more factors at play there. But if you have something like DYDX or 1inch, these are obviously bigger coins than most, but they're not as big as like Chainlink, So this was an inflow and an outflow, as you can see here. Now, if we want to just look at only bearish signals, you are going to click net inflow. Net inflow right here is super helpful. You can just see over 1 hour, over 4 hours, over how many days you wanna have the inflow. So let's go look at, hey, I want to get a quick signal. Let's go to the 4-hour net inflow because that's probably going to show me a good opportunity to short. This one's okay, Gala. It's not great because we have a lot of outflow here. I want more one-sided where it's just a lot of inflow. This one's okay too. Yeah, this one's pretty balanced. HFT just had a lot of inflow. Well, $450,000 is not a lot, but for a coin of HFT size, that is definitely bearish. So if I can make this even farther out if I want, like a 1 day. Over today, what has had the most inflow or outflow? Obviously, today DYDX has had a bunch of inflow. So I would expect a bit of bearishness from DYDX and also a bit of bearishness from HFT especially. So let's go take a look at HFT. And when you are looking at these guys, it's important that you look at the spot market, not the perpetual market, because the spot market is where the selling of the whales will be done, or the buying and accumulation of coins be done. The futures market, that would not happen. So you need to look at this without this, okay? And we want to look at the exchange where it was deposited on. Now let's go look at the history. So it was deposited onto Binance and Coinbase, but mostly just Binance, as you can see right here. So there we go. Let's go look at Binance. So we know now that a fair amount of this coin was just deposited into Binance. This could be a little bit more bearish for sure at this current price. So with that being said, what I would probably do is just short the futures. Even though it's the spot market that's being impacted, a fall in the spot market would probably be a fall in the futures. So when you're analyzing this through a chart, you should be looking at spot. But when you're trading it, I mean, you can trade it with futures because they're going to be pretty close in value. Let's go look at the last 7 days. What has had the most inflow or outflow? Again, most inflow has been DYDX with a net of 16.79 mil. So there's something really bearish on this. For some reason, a lot of people are depositing. What my thought is with this coin, just saying, not financial advice, I'm thinking that some whales from who had coins in DeFi or locked up are depositing onto Binance to sell them, to essentially just get rid of them instead of trying to make some big transaction with a bunch of slippage on DeFi. So if we look at this, maybe this little run up caused a lot of people to get a little bit more bearish and to try to sell. So that could be pushing it a little bit lower. That's one thing I will say. I'd be a little bit more inclined to sell. All right, let's also look at net outflow. So this is when a coin is being pulled away from major exchanges. And traditionally, a lot of net outflow would be talking about going to private wallets. Sometimes this net outflow might happen to other exchanges, though. The most bullish activity is when you transfer a token to a private wallet where it can't be sold. That's very bullish. So storage is coming up as a pretty bullish on-chain data, as you can see here, in the short term. So if we look at storage spot market, it looks pretty bullish for sure. You can see that it's had a good run up, just like DYDX, but the difference of this versus DYDX is you can see there's just a lot of outflow. I mean, a lot of outflow. So that is a little bit, more bullish. You can see that tokens are leaving Binance constantly, leaving Coinbase. That's good. That means that they might be held up in private wallets or maybe locked up in staking on DeFi or something like that. So this overall is quite bullish. So if we look at the 1 hour, I don't think we're going to get anything too crazy. 4 hour, it's just chain link. But overall, it has been, if we look at 7 days storage and SHIB are getting a fair amount of outflow. SHIB is actually seeing, I should look at the spot market. SHIB is actually seeing a very large amount of tokens leaving, which is a sign of confidence for the market to go higher. So let's go see what the market does. Let's see if this is a good indicator or not, if I'm wrong or right. So my predictions are, let's say in the next week or two, I think that DYDX is probably going to fall a little bit. A lot of tokens added. HFT will probably fall because from my memory, a lot of tokens added. SHIB will probably rise, but SHIB is very correlated to Bitcoin. I don't know, but it will probably rise. But if Bitcoin falls, SHIB will definitely, fall. Storage is also correlated to Bitcoin, but I think that I would have no reason to be bearish on this coin with that much money leaving the market. I think that's a very good sign for this to maybe break a high. So we'll see in a week or two, what coin outperforms the other. Another thing you could do is if you're bearish on DYDX but bullish on storage, you could buy storage with futures and then short DYDX with futures, and then you'd have a pairs trade. That's another thing you could do. So the way you would do that is actually you do that divided by, if we're going to short DYDX, what you would be doing is you would essentially have a pairs trade where you're betting on this to rise because you bought that token and you shorted that token. So you want this ticker of storage divided by DYDX to rise in value. So if you do it correctly, and if this rises, then you would make money on your pairs trade. That's going to do it for today. Super, super cool indicator. I'm really, really happy with CoinGlass. I really have no complaints about this. It's just a super helpful, up-to-date indicator. You can refresh the page. And if you ever need to look at a transaction, they have it for you on Etherscan. Just click that button right there. You can see it's a real transaction, and it went to Coinbase. Cool. And if you want to group things together, you just click it. You click it and you see a chart. Probably the best thing to look at is probably alerts and then also net inflow, just to see, what's being deposited. Because personally, last thing I'm going to say, I think it's a little bit more bearish when coins enter an exchange than it is bullish if a coin's leaving exchange. Does that make sense? So if $20 million worth of DYDX, which just happened, enters into Binance, I don't know. That's not a great sign. That's a sign that those guys might want to cash out. And we might get, like one of these crazy volume spikes. You'd be like, oh, I guess Bennett was onto something when we just destroy the market below 3. Or maybe they don't want to sell it all and they're just calling me a fool and they're just trying to buy cheaper. Who knows? Okay. Happy trading. Go check out my Discord if you want more alpha tips like this and just trading in a different way than most people do. Happy trading. I'll see you guys next time.